Hey there and welcome back to XCOM. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our XCOM Enemy Within Ironman Impossible walkthrough. Now first of all I have to apologize in advance if I'm talking with a slight lisp today or mumble occasionally. I had a basketball game a few days ago and bit my tongue pretty hard during the game, and it still hasn't quite healed all the way up, so I might occasionally sound a bit weird. This is also the reason why this episode goes up a few days later than planned, because this is really the first day where I can speak somewhat clearly. Now let's get into things. In the last episode we upgraded to heavy lasers, we started the construction of a thermo generator, and most importantly we successfully captured an outsider. As a result, we have unlocked the Outsider Shard research project, which will in turn unlock a very important mission in the game's main quest line. Now, I have already talked about this at the end of the last episode. The reward for completing that mission will be a worldwide panic reduction, so it might make sense to save that mission for the end of the month, because if we time it right, we might be able to finish the month without the need for a single satellite, which would of course free up a hefty amount of cash. Reading through the comments on the last episode, it seems like most of you also agreed with this approach, and so instead of going for the Outsider Shard right away, a lot of you were in favor of researching the new fighter craft instead. Now, I have been thinking about that, and I came to the conclusion that while we do not want to start that main questline mission right away, it is probably still best to research the Outsider Shard right here and now. That way, we definitely have it ready when we need it at the end of the month, because there is still the small risk of another EXALT sabotage, which could come with a setback to our research. Additionally, researching the Outsider Shard only takes 3 days, so it's not like we're delaying the next project by several weeks, so let's be on the safe side here and get the project underway immediately. Up next, we can then upgrade the mech suit for Nicholas Mahoney, because we have unlocked the next tier of mech armor as a result of completing the UFO power source research last episode. This second tier comes with another tactical system. We can either go for the grenade launcher or the restorative mist. The grenade launcher is an explosive attack that does 4 points of damage in a small radius, very much like a normal grenade, but with quite a bit more range. With the expanded storage ability, it can be used 3 times per mission, but in my opinion, restorative mist is the better choice for Nicholas. This system provides 4 points of healing to every soldier in the vicinity, and with expanded storage it can be used twice per mission. It can also be used to heal Nicholas himself and to cure poison, and all in all it can be an absolute mission saver if things start to go south. So for the cost of 30 credits and 60 units of meld, we are upgrading Nicholas with this ability, and then we can head to the Situation Room. I mentioned the possibility of an EXALT attack earlier, and we have already reached the middle of the month, so let's launch another scan and see if EXALT is active anywhere.
Positive identification confirmed. EXALT cell location verified.
Alright, looks like we have a cell in Australia, so before they go back into hiding, let us start another covert operation.
At least we've got some vets on our side. It takes a serious pair to go face to face with one of those things.
Now, for the last 2 covert operations we used Sniper Rosilius Wargull, but for this one let us go with his colleague George Teasdale, as that will allow us to test out Rosilius' new gene modifications in battle. With a scope and chitin plating, George is already adequately prepared, so let's send him out and wait until he completes his task.
Covert operative deployed to disrupt EXALT cell in Australia.
And with that large chunk of organizational stuff out of the way, we can now finally start scanning, although only for a few hours. It is now the 16th of June, and since the month only has 30 days, we need to take a quick break to build a satellite uplink now. Yes, I know I said earlier that we want to use that particular mission to reduce panic at the end of the month, but once again it's best to be prepared for the worst. We might end up with a few injured soldiers, rendering us unable to actually play that mission before the end of the month, and for that case, having the uplink and 3 satellites as backup options to reduce panic seems like a good idea. And if things indeed go as planned, we can always cancel both the construction as well as the satellite order and receive all of our money back, so we're really not losing anything by playing it safe here.
There you are.
Tactical. Do we have an Eagle over these coordinates?
Recon satellite Delta 2 is just coming into line of sight. Now, sir. Coming on screen.
Nothing.
No, that's impossible. I know it's there.
Switch to thermal.
Hello.
Give me subsurface.
Gotcha.
Re-establish comms with all available ground.
Think of what we might find once we get inside that facility. Imagine what they might be doing down there.
I'm sure we'll find out soon enough.
Okay, we found it. Now how do we get inside?
I thought you'd never ask.
And there we are, the Outsider shard has been researched, and as a result we have uncovered the location of the alien base, and that unlocks the X marks the spot achievement. Our new objective is now to assault that base, but as our team just mentioned, we need something to get inside, and that is where the Outsider shard once again comes into play. Using the shard, we can now build the so-called skeleton key, a device that can be manufactured in engineering and that is required to actually be able to start the alien base assault. It can be bought instantly, however, so at this point we are more or less ready to begin the assault whenever we please. That also means that we can now focus on a new research project, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we are going for the new fighter craft next. A comment below the last video kind of hit the nail on the head by saying that this new fighter is usually something you want to have before you actually need it, and I can only agree. The need for plasma weapons manifests itself much more gradually, but there comes a rather sudden point where not having this type of fighter becomes a pretty big problem, so let's make sure to stay ahead of the aliens and research it right now.
I've got a hunch as to how we might get into that facility. Just give the word, and I'll begin manufacturing the key immediately.
Now, since we have all the materials, let us also quickly manufacture the skeleton key. Looking at our Illyrium and alloy supplies, we won't run out anytime soon, but this way we won't have to worry about actually building the thing anymore. This consumes the Outsider shard, but this is also the only point in the game where we actually need one. Like I said, the skeleton key now becomes available instantly, so if we jump back to mission control, we can see that we could now launch the alien base assault. However, we won't do that for now. Instead, we can continue scanning.
Improving soldiers' optic adjustment speed will allow them to compensate much faster when they miss shots.
Alright, this completes another gene modification for our assault atom work, and since we currently have another soldier on a covert operation, we won't start a new modification process, and instead we simply keep advancing the clock. This brings us to a request from Japan, a very lucrative one at that, as the Japanese order 3 heavy lasers and offer a substantial reward in the form of 311 credits. And we can of course fulfill that request right away. Manufacturing 3 heavy lasers is pretty cheap for us. In total it only costs us 57 credits and 48 alloys, and we have more than enough of those for now, so this is really an excellent opportunity for us to significantly improve our funds. Once the 3 guns are ready, we can head to the Situation Room to complete the request and increase our account balance to 434 credits. And with that money we can now do some shopping as we purchase 5 brand new skeleton suits. All things considered, those are clear upgrades over the carapace armor, but I did not purchase them last time to save some cash and also because on the mission with the small UFO they were unlikely to show off their full potential. Now, however, we have money to spare, so let's grab 5 for the cost of 100 credits and 30 alloys. Afterwards, we can then also stop by in the foundry and begin the improved Pistol 1 project. I don't want to complete too many foundry projects before we have unlocked the last continent bonus from Asia, but this one is cheap and improves the critical hit chance of our pistols. Not overly useful, but in the spirit of true completion we have to start somewhere. Unlike the skeleton key, the heavy lasers or the new armor suits, however, this project will take a few days, but we're also in no rush to complete it.
We're certainly keeping the boys down in the foundry busy. I'll let them know you've got another project ready for production.
And that puts our engineers to work. Up next we probably have the thermal generator.
Thermal generator online.
And indeed, here we are, the thermal generator is finished. If we quickly head into the facility overview, we can see that we now have a lovely power access, which would theoretically also allow us to deconstruct one or two regular generators and build more useful facilities like workshops or laboratories. But then again, we will have time for that later, and we also still have a decent amount of building spaces at the moment, so for now we can simply move on. Alright, looks like it's time for the next mission, as our covert operative George is ready to come home. So, just like last time, we have a covert extraction mission ahead of us. Let's see what we're facing this time.
We are confident that you will handle this matter with discretion.
Now, our squad finally has Mr. Wargal back as a sniper, but before we head out, we have to make a few changes. Most importantly, we want to equip everyone with their new skeleton suits, even though, as you can see here, the carapace armor provides 4 additional hit points, while the skeleton suit only gives 3. However, the skeleton suit also comes with a grappling hook, makes our soldiers a little harder to hit, and increases their movement range, so all in all, it's probably safe to say that it's an upgrade. Adam can also exchange the arc thrower for another grenade. That makes more sense since we can't capture anyone on this mission. Andrea will then receive her skeleton suit as well, just like Emilia, but apart from that, both of their loadouts remain as they are. Rosilius, meanwhile, can not only equip the new armor, but also grab the laser sniper rifle that George was using previously, and in his free item slot he can equip a scope. For the other slot, I would have liked to also give him some chitin plating for some extra protection, but the one we have is on George and we don't have enough chrysalid corpses to make another one, so we'll have to take the nanofiber vest and we'll need to keep him a little further away from the action if possible. Shoji then also equips his skeleton suit, and as we jump over to Nicholas, we can see that his level 2 mech armor now comes with 12 points of protection, bringing his hit points up to 18, so he should be able to take the occasional hit without any problems. And that's all in terms of preparation. Let's fly out to Australia now to take on another group of EXALT agents.
One of our covert operatives was nearly successful in hacking a series of EXALT comm relays when enemy forces moved into the area. If we're going to have any chance of recovering that data, we'll need Strike 1 to provide protection while the operative finishes hacking the remaining arrays. If we lose the operative, we won't be able to recover the intel. We have a new objective.
Alright, nothing too crazy here map-wise. We are at the train yard and the 2 comm relays are pretty close, but I suspect the same is true for EXALT's forces. As always in this type of mission, we have 2 groups of agents on the map to begin with, and then reinforcements will appear once we start hacking the relays. Sniper George is on the other side of the map, and to complete the mission he is the one who needs to hack the 2 relays, but for now he will stay right where he is. He could take a peek down the alley here, but if there are enemies that could become a problem, so he will simply hunker down and stay put. Rosilius meanwhile uses his new grappling hook to get on top of the train here, not only to get a better look of the battlefield, but also to throw a battle scanner into the shadows ahead of him.
Eyes in the sky.
And as expected, the first group of EXALT agents is close by, so let's put everyone else into overwatching positions without alerting them of our presence. Andrea can also go on top of the train. That might make it easier to launch a rocket if we need to, while Adam will dash around the right side to possibly run and gun into a flanking position on the next turn. Once everyone has found their spot, we will activate overwatches and see if the agents run into our trap. And in fact they do, or at least one of them, and Mech Trooper Mahoney takes the shot and hits for 8 points of damage. Not quite enough to get the kill, but we have another overwatch shot from Andrea here, and that one connects as well. Once again we don't get the kill, but we now have 2 severely injured enemies. 2 of them are hiding inside of the train here behind half cover, but we can do something about that with Nicholas, who can move up a bit and then use collateral damage to get a guaranteed kill and to remove the cover on the other agent.
Attacking hostile position.
And that now opens this guy up for an almost guaranteed critical from Sniper Rosilius, who should hopefully get the kill here. And that he does, which now also activates Combat Rush thanks to his Adrenal Neurosympathy gene mod. And as you can see, Combat Rush has been activated on every single member of our squad. The range of it is pretty damn huge, so as a result we have just unlocked the Anger Management achievement. Rosilius also has access to double tap, so he can simply shoot again and clear out this group of enemies for good. Now there is one more group of EXALT agents around, so for the next turn George will once again stay where he is, while the rest of the squad can slowly start to move towards the second comm relay. We won't move them up too far to avoid triggering any hostiles right away, and we'll also put most of them on Overwatch and then wait what happens. Alright, nothing so far, so let's keep moving with Adam here. And there we are, there's the second group of agents, who immediately all seek cover. Conveniently enough, however, they don't really spread out while doing so our first action on this turn will be to greet them with a nice rocket from Shoji.
Launching.
That gets us 2 instant kills thanks to the exploding forklift, and for number 3 we can once again call upon Rosilius to finish the job. And with that, all hostiles that are currently present on the map have been defeated, so we can now use a dash here with George to get closer to the first comm relay. In the meantime, the rest of our squad will also move a little closer towards that relay, because EXALT reinforcements will attack it as soon as we are in position for the hack.
Back online.
Things remain calm for the time being, however, so let's get George into the right spot.
Roger, Dodger. We have an operative in position to begin the hack, Commander. We just have to activate the relay to acquire the data.
Now, because George used the dash, he can't actually hack the relay on this turn, but him standing next to it is enough to trigger enemy reinforcements. And for that reason we want to prepare accordingly. Rosilius can get a bit closer, Emilia can find some high ground on a nearby train wagon, and all in all we can pretty much surround that first relay with our troops and then put them all on Overwatch in anticipation of the next enemy wave.
Okay.
And no surprises here, as expected we have new enemies emerging from the shadows, and unfortunately their approach angle does not allow us to fire a lot of reaction shots, but at least we get off one with Andrea here that also connects for 7 points of damage. A second agent then appears and hides behind the train in the back, sadly triggering no reaction fire at all.
Our operative decrypted some of the EXALT data and temporarily disrupted their communications. That ought to slow them down. Now we just need to find and hack the remaining relays.
Now, the full hit point EXALT agent in full cover here is a good target for Adam, who will have to use run and gun to move quite far away from the rest of the squad, but this way we won't have to use multiple explosives just to get one kill. The other agent is then once again a job for Rosilius, and with that the first wave of reinforcements is quickly taken care of. That means that George can now dash over to the second relay. The procedure here will be the same as before, while the rest of our squad will move with him, mostly using dashes to cover as many angles as possible. And we're not using too many overwatches here simply because the EXALT agents don't take any hostile actions on their first turn anyway, so while getting the drop on them with a reaction shot is nice, it is not entirely necessary in order to take them out before they can do any harm.
EXALT reinforcements are in the area, Commander.
And once again we have 2 enemies joining the party here, but first let's take care of that comm relay.
That's the last of the relays, Commander. We've got EXALT's data. Now we just need to get the operative to the evac zone. Objectives updated.
Alright, now our objective is to simply get George to the evac zone, and we could do that right here now, ending the mission, but for the sake of completion let us at least take out the 2 agents first. Starting things off, we use a rocket with Andrea to turn their full cover into half cover and to deal 6 points of damage, and then we can follow things up with Shoji and a quick grenade to take them both out. Not really the finesse approach, but it gets the job done. And that's all. A rather simple mission in my opinion. Let's now move George to the evac zone and wrap things up.
Commander, we've secured the operative and the new data they were able to acquire from the relays. Well done.
Now, we probably could have caught one more wave of enemies here, but since EXALT agents do not drop any interesting items and we can't take their corpses either, and since we also do not desperately need experience points, we're leaving early today.
I just hope the engineering crew can live up to the standards set by our troops after a mission like that.
Back in the base, we can see no promotions, but more importantly, also no injuries, just the way it should be. The operation report then shows that we have received 100 credits and a 1-point panic reduction in Australia for completing the mission, and we have also learned that the EXALT base is not in India. Additionally, Sniper George also receives his final promotion, so let's level him up to Colonel. We could now give him the very useful double tap ability that we saw Rosilius use earlier in the mission, but in the zone is also very good and we want to show off as many abilities as possible in this playthrough. In the zone is a bit more conditional than double tap, as it does no longer cost George an action to kill a flanked or uncovered target, but with a bit of planning we should be able to meet those conditions often enough. Our loot is then nothing special, a few weapons that we might be able to sell if the right council request comes our way, but that's about it.
Intel decryption completed. Recalculating possible EXALT facility locations.
Now, in the Covert Operations screen here, we can see that we have narrowed things down even further and that we can now eliminate India from the list of potential EXALT base locations as well. For the first time, we can now also launch an attack on the EXALT base, but since we don't actually know where that is, we would have to guess and accuse a country of harboring the base, and if we're wrong, that country will immediately leave the XCOM project. So I think it goes without saying that we will continue to do these regular EXALT missions until we're sure where to find their base, and then and only then will we go for the attack. And with that, we have also reached the end of today's episode. Only 9 more days remain in June, and I think we still have at least 2 or 3 more missions waiting for us, so the rest of the month could be fairly action-packed. But today was another good step towards full completion. We have unlocked 2 new achievements and we have another colonel-level soldier, so things are definitely going well for the time being. But of course, since this is XCOM, things can always change dramatically in the span of just 1 or 2 missions, so let's not get too confident. For today, we can make the cut right here. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can also subscribe to stay up to date or support the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.